Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Romantasy Readers Podcast. I'm Allie, and I am joined, as always, by the lovely Nicole. How are you doing today, Nicole?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had family in town this week, or this weekend, so I'm a little tired. You know, it's always hard to host people in your house, but other than that, I'm doing really well. I was listening to Leather and Lark on audiobook with my
Oh,
mom in my home, so that was a little weird.
I had a total situation this week where I was listening to Leather and Lark, which I don't normally do audiobooks, but because Butcher and Blackbird was so known for its audiobook, I was like, right, I'm going to audiobook this one. I had it on my phone and I had paused it and I took it to my husband to show him something I'd been filming on Instagram. And I was like, check it out. And then the audiobook started automatically playing and it was a particular
Amazing.
scene that was on at that time, and he's just looked at me and he's gone, "What are you listening to?" And I'm just like, um, yeah, that's the books I read.
Yeah, I kept
Surprise!
being I was, like, so terrified that when I got in my car, my phone was gonna, like, auto connect via Bluetooth and then just, like, start playing that every time right before we would get in the car, I would, like, make sure to go and play music on Spotify and then push pause so that it would, like, play the Spotify music, because I was like, "Oh my god, I cannot have this happen with my mom."
Seriously, seriously. I have 3 children. I do school pickup, and often a
Yeah,
place I like to listen is in my car. So I would, and this is probably why sometimes my listening experience was a bit like stop and start, because I would have to turn it off and make sure something else was on, because this is not a book that you can have your kids just accidentally catch 5
accidentally
minutes
here.
of.
Nope.
Like, this isn't even like Akatar or something where you're like, "Oh, well, you caught a few minutes, but it's not too," like, this is like that really X-rated next level kind of situation. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but it was fun. It was fun.
yeah. So if you can't tell, we're gonna be talking today about Leather and Lark, book 2 in the Ruinous Love trilogy. It's a bit of a departure for us because it's not, fantasy. There's no real fantasy
Not
element.
romantic-y.
So it's really just a dark rom-com, but we had so much fun interviewing Brynne Weaver, about a month ago that, we were like, "We gotta cover Leather and Lark," she came
Yeah,
on our podcast, we
definitely.
gotta cover the book.
Look,
So
I
that's what we're talking
get
about today.
yeah, I rarely venture for my romantasy, but my exceptions have always been Ali Hazelwood, because her rom-coms are so funny that I actually thoroughly enjoy them. And Brynne Weaver. I have tried full-on dark romance, dark, but like Haunting Adeline, that was a little bit too much for me. But this balances really nicely
It
with
does,
kind of the
yeah.
dark versus the comedy, which I really like. And it's a great palate cleanser for those of us that love romantasy, that maybe just need something a little bit light, or maybe just really just need some spice after like maybe reading Spark of the Everflame and just being like super frustrated for 3 whole novels. Like, this is a great way to just get your spice fix without,
It is.
thinking too much.
Yeah. So if you have not yet read Leather and Lark, that's okay because we are doing a new format where the first 15 or 20 minutes or so of each podcast episode is spoiler free. So other than knowing that there's some spice, which I think you probably already knew about this book, we're not going to give you any spoilers for the first 15 minutes, and we'll tell you clearly when we're moving into the spoiler zone.
Spoiler zone.
Yeah, spoiler zone. Before we get too far though, what have you been reading this week other than Leather and Lark? You reading anything else?
I know, I've actually been dual reading, which is a rare thing for me. Like, you'd be impressed with me, Ali. I have actually like changed it up. I'm rereading When the Moon Hatched, because this book, you cannot only read it once, you have to read it twice, because there are so many Easter eggs in there, and I'm just breaking down those Easter eggs. But I did want to read something new as well, hence I was doing the audiobook with Leather and Lark. So that second read has been a little bit slower, but I'm just, yeah, absolutely loving it, and kind of now will be happy that Leather and Lark is finished so I can just fully engage into When the Moon Hatched. But I'm a little tired today because Bridgerton season 3 part 2 came out last night, and I just went through all 4 episodes all in one go. Like, just shut the door and I just went for it. So yeah, I'm a little tired and yeah, a little shocked at the ending. That's for sure.
I have not yet even started the second half of it, of Bridgerton. It's for if you're listening, we're recording this today on June 13th. For me, it's June 13th for me, June 14th for Nicole. So Bridgerton just came out. I have not gotten around to it. I could not. I was too tired last night to stay up and watch it. Plus, I was still trying to get through Leather and Lark.
That's just not good enough, Allie. I'm sorry. Like, that's weak. Come on.
I know.
Have some coffee and get in there and watch Bridgerton.
I know. I should have stayed up all night long. What was I thinking? I had early meetings. I've had early meetings all week this week too. So I'm always really tired when I have to get up before like 8 a.m. It's like, oh God, I never see 8 a.m. I must have meetings at that time. But I'm really curious if listeners want us to like cover Bridgerton, both the books and the show. So maybe let us know if you can DM us on Instagram or respond to us or something. Let us know if you want us to cover Bridgerton. It's not romantasy, but I think I'm definitely going to read those because I've not read them yet. I'm going to read them.
No. And if I had to guess what my second favorite genre would be, I mean, it's crazy that I haven't really read historical romance except for like 20 years ago when I read, like things back then, but like not recently. I think I read Outlander when I was like 15 or something. But like, so to actually go and I think I would love the Bridgerton series. But I guess something that's been really interesting is they're really shifting away a little bit from the books. And, I think there's a lot of fans that are really upset today with some of the changes that have happened. Really interesting if people want to talk about that or not and explore that. I mean, I thought this has been look, I love Nicola Colin. Like, I think she is absolutely wonderful. I loved her in Dairy Girls as well. She is such a good actress, so funny. And I think she was just sensational through this whole season. So I absolutely love her. Might have a few issues with one or two other things, but I think she was absolutely wonderful.
I'm so jealous of her skin. Did you know that she is like 37 years old?
I know.
She looks amazing. I just want her skin. I'm so jealous.
She's just glows and she's just, and her red hair is cascading through this whole season. She's just beautiful white skin and this red hair, and she just looks absolutely stunning. Oh, they've just nailed her every scene.
Yeah. And I have been really into her like red carpet kind of style as she's gone on the press tour. And she is just slaying. Like her stylist is nailing it. And like with the blonde hair too, like she looks amazing with the blonde hair. She looks amazing in everything she's been wearing. Like I am just so obsessed with them. And I am in the part of Instagram where every single like video of her and Luke Newton interacting, the actor who plays Colin, I watch it. I'm like, ooh, they're so cute together. They're so cute together. And like the people analyzing, like, oh, look, their fingers are reaching for one another. I'm so into it.
Look, and this is probably good. And I don't think it's giving too much away if you haven't watched part 2 yet. But like I was actually really into her relationship with Lord Debling. I don't know what it was. I felt like there was some serious chemistry between those two. I was like, what is going on? And there's this video of them just like doing the dancing in the rehearsals. And even that had bloody chemistry. I'm just like, what? I actually felt like she didn't have a ton of chemistry with Luke, but I did feel like they ramped it up more in part 2 and it was better. Maybe it was good that Lord Debling wasn't there to distract me. Now I could just focus on that one relationship and just focus on that.
Yeah. No, that's good. They definitely had, maybe Nicola Coughlan just has chemistry with everyone. Maybe she's just like, maybe she just like vibes with all kinds of people.
I know. No, she's so gorgeous. I love her. Loved it so much.
Well, I have not been watching Bridgerton, but I have been reading. I'm also doing a reread of When the Moon Hatched. I have that on audiobook, so I've kind of pushed pause while I was listening to the audiobook of Leather and Lark. But then I'm kind of always doing like an audiobook and then a book on my Kindle at the same time. And the book that I'm doing on my Kindle is The Inadequate Heir, the third book in the Bridge Kingdom series. I'd never read it. I had only read the first 2. So I'd only read Bridge Kingdom and Traitor Queen. So I finally made it to Inadequate Heir about halfway through that. So I'm really enjoying that.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I really am.
No,
It was
so
one of
good.
those, like, books where sometimes when I get really, really into a series or, like, a book, and then the series continues but with different characters, I
Never
can't
get
go back to
around
that
to it.
world without those characters.
Yes.
So I that's why I never read Inadequate Air, but it's been enough time, I can let it go, and now I can listen to Inadequate
Yeah,
Air.
and I'm pretty sure the characters do come back in at some point. Like, we do get a little revisit, I think,
Yeah.
of those Bridge Kingdom characters, just as obviously side characters. But no, it's still done really well. I mean, I feel like everything Danielle does is amazing. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's true, isn't it? It's like sometimes when there's that shift as readers, we're kind of like, oh, but I'm invested in those characters. Like,
Yeah.
they need to slowly drip feed in that other character so that I'm ready for that transition and it's not too much of a shock.
Like Brynne Weaver does with the Ruinous Love trilogy. What a
Yep.
transition.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well done.
So, if you have not yet read Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark, we're going to give you like a spoiler free kind of this is what they're about, in case you're curious and you're just like, I just want to see if I'd like it. So, we won't spoil anything. Generally, they're like, would you describe them as a dark rom com? Is that kind of,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
really
probably
heavy
the
on the
best.
humor though?
Dark, spicy rom-com. Yeah.
Dark, spicy rom-com. Yep. Book one is Butcher and Blackbird, and it's about two serial killers who each murder serial killers. So they're kind of like getting their
Mhm.
own justice, and they meet and they fall in love, and it's hilarious. And she ruins ice cream, and that's what book one is basically about.
Yeah, yep, yep. It is a fun, light read that's dark. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, right.
it's a
So
dark, light read.
dark light read. And then book two is about Lachlan, the brother of
Older brother,
the older brother of the main male character in book one,
Rowan. Yeah.
Rowan, and the best friend of Sloane, who is the main FMC in book one. So Lachlan and Lark
Mhm.
hate each other, and they get themselves into forced marriage, and
Oh, no.
things happen.
Exactly.
That's generally what they're about. And Lachlan is a contract killer, and Lark is she seems like this really happy sunshine character, but maybe there's like some more darkness going on underneath. So,
Mhm.
it does still have that very dark, murder comedy.
Definitely. Look, I think actually, if anything, this one does go a little darker. And Brynne definitely told us that when she was in our interview. She did say
Yeah.
it's probably a little bit darker. And I probably and it probably was even darker than I was kind of thinking. I kind of thought, oh yeah, it's gonna have a few more dark elements, but and then it was like, oh, actually, no, this is a bit darker. It's a bit more serious. But if you love kind of your serial killer murder mysteries, but then mixed in with a bit of dark comedy and things like that, and heaps of hot, spicy romance, this is definitely the book for you. You're going to love
Yeah.
it. If you love Butcher and
Yeah.
Blackbird, you're probably going to love this as well. Just know it's not quite that real funny book that the first one was. It does go to a darker place.
It does. There are still tons of funny moments for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, for sure. For
Um,
sure.
for sure, but definitely a little bit darker.
And
Um,
lots of movie references. Like,
yeah, yeah,
Keanu Reeves plays a major part in this book, just
yeah.
FYI.
Keanu Reeves could be a trope in this book. Like
Could
the
be.
tropes are
Could be.
arranged marriage, forced proximity, and Keanu Reeves. Those are
Keanu
the
Reeves,
tropes.
Constantine. Yes.
Yeah, right. Right. Um, the spice is kinky spice, as we've said,
Mhm.
dark spice.
If you've read Butcher and Blackbird, you know that Brynne goes to a kinkier place with her spice,
Yeah,
but she does balance it really well. I think for even people
absolutely.
that maybe don't typically read that, you actually can still it's still palatable. Like, it's not
Yeah.
it doesn't, you're still in your green zone. You're not in your red zone. Like, you're like, okay, I can do this. Like, it's like I
Maybe
can
you're in
handle
your
this.
yellow zone, depending on who you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, no, it was
Maybe
fine. I was
opening
able to
you up
handle
to
it.
new
All good.
things.
I
Yeah.
found a way.
And I think we both said we listened to the audiobook. Honestly, if you haven't read this book yet, listen to the audiobook. The voice actor who plays Lachlan is just so sexy. I don't know what else to say. I am if
That
you're wondering,
voice.
is it possible to be attracted to a voice? The answer is
Yes.
1000% yes.
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, we all know, like, literally this guy is the master of the growl. Like, you know how we
Oh
want
my god,
like,
the
when he says
growl.
"my wife," when he growls and said "my
Yes,
wife," like, you could grab
yes,
that and put it into, like, an Instagram reel and just, like, there you go.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely. Somebody
oh, yeah.
probably will do that at some point. So if you're a bookstagrammer and you're looking for content ideas, I don't know how to
There you
edit
go.
the audiobook, so I am never gonna be able to do this, but somebody will figure out how to edit the audiobooks with the "my wife" growl, and then I'll use your audio and remix it
Put a
because
funny
that's what
meme
I do.
over it.
Yeah, right, put a meme over it. Yeah, like, I was thinking too because, like, there's the theory that, Prythian is supposed to be, like, Scottish, or maybe Irish, and so this voice actor could definitely do a good, like, Rhysand and definitely do a good Cassian.
God.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
He would, like he, like, totally Cass, like, he very much Cassian.
definitely
Like,
Cass.
it'd be interesting to see if he'd take it to a different place because in this he was quite serious, obviously, like, 'cause, Lachlan is kinda serious,
Serious,
whereas
yeah,
obviously Cass is a bit funny as
yeah,
well, but, like, that darkness and yeah, he could, like yeah, I mean, because 'cause he's got that roughness to his voice,
yes,
like,
yeah.
it's very
I
I would
went
be
and
fine
followed
with
him on
that. It would be
Instagram
fine.
because I've been slowly starting to follow more voice actors on Instagram because one, like you can use audios that they put out, but two, I'm like, I don't know, I'm getting really into like voice actors for my books because I
We've
just feel guilty.
realized as women that voice is a huge. Well, let's be honest. How often do you see a guy and he's super like say it's a movie or something, super hot, super gorgeous, and they open up their mouth, have this high pitched voice, and you're instantly just like, no,
Not for
no way.
me.
Whereas a
Yeah.
guy can be kind of ordinary looking, comes out with this gravelly hot voice, and you just melt. Like you
Yeah.
literally just close your eyes and you're like, just talk to me, just
Just talk
just
to
read
me.
me,
Just talk to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
just read
So
to
do
me. And that's
yourself a favor and listen to Leather and Lark,
100%.
because it is well worth the listen. But be careful if you're around children or mothers.
100%. Watch where you're listening to this.
Children, mothers, or husbands. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah, children,
yeah.
mothers, or
Well, I mean,
husbands.
husbands are probably, like, not so upset by it. They're a
Yeah,
little bit more like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay."
I know. I always
Yeah.
listen to my spicy audiobooks with my husband around, and he'll just, like, make fun of it and be like, "Oh my gosh," you know? But, but it is always, like it it's like the whole book could not be spicy at all, and you've been listening to it out loud, while you're doing dishes or whatever, and he hasn't been around any of that, any of the stuff where it's normal, and
No,
then it's
no,
like
of
the
course not,
second
yeah.
it turns, like, spicy,
They
suddenly
come
the
in
husband walks in, and you're like,
they
"I
come
swear
in
it hasn't been this the whole time."
even when I'm just reading a book, like, and, it's not even audio, and then they just, like, walk in right at a pivotal scene, and you're just like, "I need some alone time, okay?
Yeah,
I'm in the middle of something here. I need some alone
that does
time.
not
Go
involve
away.
you.
Like, stop distracting me."
Yeah, absolutely. All right, anything else you wanna chat about before we go into the spoiler zone?
No, only that I think I've realized I'm not great with audiobooks. Like
Mm,
I say I normally do books, traditional books, and I've realized I really need to do something with my hands because I think the only thing that's going to come into factor today is that I got quite distracted listening because one, I have three kids, and then I would have to keep turning it off and on all the time because of them. And then the other thing was because my hands were free and I had my phone near me because I was listening to it. And then what would I start doing? I go on Instagram and I start flicking and I stop paying attention. So as much as I absolutely adore the voices and I like for me, I feel like I do need to read a book because I get too distracted. So
yeah.
just take that into consideration with my review today.
Yeah, I definitely have to be doing something. Like that's why I have one that I'm reading and one that I'm listening to because if I'm
Yeah.
driving or on a walk
Oh,
or doing chores at home,
yeah.
folding laundry is the best
Yeah.
time to listen to an audiobook.
Well, see, the other thing is because I've got a busy household. Like, if I'm like folding laundry or something, like they come and talk to me, and then I'm just like, I'm listening. I'm
Yeah.
listening. I'm busy. Like,
Don't
go
your
away.
children know not to disturb you when you're listening to your
I
audiobook?
know.
I mean, come on.
So yeah,
Perfect. Okay. All right. Spoiler zone time. So if you have not yet read Leather and Lark, and I would say you also need to have read Butcher and Blackbird, because we will probably refer back to that as
Of
well.
course.
So you need to have read both of them. Otherwise, hop off, get to listening, and come back after you have listened and or read both of those books.
Yep.
All right. So I did a very, very short summary because, for books like this, it's not that, like, you're not really there for the plot. Let's be real. But I did just want to
You
remind
kind of
everyone of
know
the
what
plot.
you're going to get. These are like
Yeah.
rom-coms, dark rom-coms. They follow a recipe. They're a little, they add their own unique flavor, but they follow it to, like, it's not like romantasy where you got entirely different worlds, magic systems,
Yeah.
breakdown. No, we're not looking at that. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the plot. Lachlan and Lark hate each other because Lachlan put Lark in a trunk when he didn't know who she was.
As
And
you do.
I guess that makes them hate each other. But when Lark overhears her mobster-ish parents say people connected them are being killed, and they suspect Lachlan Kane and want to take him out and take his brothers out, she panics and offers to marry Lachlan to keep her parents from offing him and breaking her best friend Sloane's heart. They agree to work together to find the killer, and in the process help Lachlan retire from his forced contract killer gig. As they investigate these murders, they learn more about one another and develop feelings neither of them want to have. And just days after finally admitting their feelings for one another, Lark is kidnapped by the brother of a serial killer that Rowan and Sloane murdered to get revenge, and Lachlan kind of loses his shit. Um, they rescue. They're able to rescue both Lark and Lachlan's families. They discover who was killing Lark's family, and they live happily ever after in Indonesia with a bonus scene,
As you do.
as you do.
So I think, I'm not sure if you outlined this, but so Lark is also a serial killer.
Yes,
And that
right.
first scene
Good
that they
point.
meet each other, she has just been out killing bad people. We find out in
Yes.
this book that she actually has a similar passion that Sloane does for killing bad people.
Yep.
So she's been doing that, but doing it very secretly. No one, including Sloane, knows about it. And it kind of went a bit wrong, and she's had to call in help, which is when Lachlan arrives as a contracted killer, and that is how they meet. And he just thinks that she's this spoiled rich girl.
Yeah.
He's not impressed with her, and she thinks that he's a budget Batman, and and the rest is history. So
And the rest is history. Yeah, and she turns her victims' body parts, sometimes their whole body, into glittery arts and crafts, which I loved. I loved that part of the book. I just thought it was such a perfect, that to me is the core nugget of what makes these books so good, is taking something like that and being like, haha, she turns it into glitter.
yeah,
Yeah,
she grabbed those fingers and she turned it into a snow globe.
a snow globe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I was there just thinking about the serial killer shows that I've watched. What was the one that was on? I think it was on Netflix, and he was keeping all these body parts, and there was this horrible odor coming from his apartment, and all I'm thinking about is things like that. But then it kind of there was a whole scene almost in relation to that she obviously covers it all up to make sure there's no smell, but accidentally there's a hole in something, and then she's the coffee table. I'm like, how does she fit body parts in a freaking coffee table? I'm just trying to figure that out, and I'm confused.
That's just a really big coffee table. That was the only thing I was thinking about the whole time, is I was like, that's a really long, slender coffee table, I guess. That,
Is
yeah,
it like a coffin? Is it like a big boxy thing?
that's how I
a body
envisioned it. Is it's basically just this resin coffin that she's put some glitter on, and there's just this glitter coffin in the middle of her living room.
And I'm just I have anxiety because it's if I was a serial killer, I feel like I'd want to get rid of every ounce of evidence. I would want to bleach things. I feel like there's too much DNA there for my happiness. I would be
especially
could come in at any time. DNA is
especially if all
table,
it takes
find a
is a
finger.
little sanding, and then suddenly the smell's back.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept thinking that, like, that coffin, like, the body, the coffee table body was going to be relevant somehow, like, it was gonna, like, become, like, a plot point or something, um, but it didn't, but I was kind of, like, hoping that, something would happen with the coffin
Yeah. No, we
coffee
just ended
table.
up with just, body part coffee table with
Yeah,
glitter on it and stuff.
yeah,
Like that was
yeah.
I just and even just trying to imagine what this apartment space looks like.
Oh my
Like,
god, I know.
you know, just stars and stickers and glitter. Like it's not exactly like aesthetic in like today's kind of society. Like it would be very, I don't know, very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
What did you think of Lachlan and Lark as characters?
Well, this is an interesting question because I this book is different to what I thought it was going to be. I really thought, I mean, I didn't see Lark being a serial killer herself. I kind of
Yeah,
saw her
that
being this
surprised
real
me.
sunshine character that's just best friends with a serial killer and is just totally okay with that. Like, it's probably someone that just sees the best in people and then
Yeah,
having this really dark, grumpy Lachlan and then having that back and forth of those two characters and her probably like helping him come out of his shell and things like that. But we didn't get that. We got a much darker story where Lark is actually a serial killer too and has all these dark history and complexities that she's working through. And it actually turned into a much darker story, which I don't know. For me, I kind of am, I guess, kind of from a rom com perspective, I maybe would have liked it to have been a bit more kind of the idea of what I had. But I think what we still got was really good. I think it was still really enjoyable. It just went to a more darker place. And we had that whole serial killer sort of thing done again, as what was sort of done in Butcher and Blackbird.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I kind of expected Lachlan to have a bit more darkness to him than he actually did. Like, if anything, he was the person, like, he was the sunshine character, so that kind of, like,
Yeah.
reversed it,
Like,
like,
I
he
thought
wasn't
he was going to.
sunshiny by any means, but I just expected him to be darker than he was, and he really
Yeah,
wasn't. He was like,
I got the impression in Butcher and Blackbird that he was dark and scary. Like,
yeah,
I thought he was dark and scary, and I was like, "Oh, Lachlan's gonna be, like, freaking feisty as." And then he was just kind of, I feel like doofus is the word I
yeah,
wanted to use. Like, he was just he was blumbering and, like, I mean, obviously, he was so enamored with Lark that he was kind of like, normally he says he's pretty smooth with women and stuff, but he's, like, completely lost it around her and he's just a bumbling wreck after that. But he wasn't quite, I don't know, he was just a bit, not quite that darkness as you were saying that I was kind of expecting to have. He was just kind of fumbling his way through trying to kind of
yeah,
build this relationship. And then obviously then also kind of learning to be such a puppy dog the whole way through to kind of get Lark to forgive him the whole way. So it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say I'd like again, I still really enjoyed it. I still liked it. I think I would have maybe preferred if Lachlan had a little bit more darkness and a little more time before he was
Grittiness.
like just trying to immediately like earn her forgiveness, and it was like clear from the get-go that he was
Yeah.
in love with her, and I kind of
Almost
wanted a
a
little
bit
bit more
more
tension.
feistiness back and forth. It was
Yeah,
more like he quickly realized, "Oh, hey, I've made an error here and I've actually treated you badly and now I'm just seeking your forgiveness." It almost would have been nice for them to have been on a bit more equal footing and then that real enemies back
yeah,
and forth for
yeah,
longer while they and then slowly building up. That might have
yeah,
just created a little bit more kind of punch, but
yeah,
in saying that, it still was great. It was still great.
yeah.
It was still enjoyable. It's still great dark romance and it still hit a lot of things. It was just different to what I was
Yeah.
expecting.
We do not want our MMCs to immediately recognize their mistakes and try to earn forgiveness right away.
No,
That is
they need to
no, that
sit in
is
that. They
not
need
what
to
we
be
want.
stubborn. We want to see some stubbornness from them.
Yeah. Heaven forbid they deal with things healthily. We need them to be dark
Exactly.
and moody.
Exactly. Helps
Um,
encourage the slow burn for longer.
yeah, yeah. Okay, best and worst scenes. I don't know how to label this scene. I don't know if this is the best scene for me or the worst scene for me. I in Butcher and Blackbird, The orzo and ice cream scenes did not sick me out, like, at all. Like, I loved them. I
Mhm.
wasn't, people were like, "I can't eat ice cream." Doesn't bother me at all. I was like, "Just keep eating my ice cream and my orzo pasta while I'm reading about this." Like, it did not get to me.
Mhm.
In this book, it got me. I
Really?
It got me bad. I, like, wanted to vomit. Like, I was
Really?
on a walk when I was listening to this scene, and I was, like, getting queasy. Like, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna, like, throw
Oh.
up in somebody's yard."
Yeah.
Um, so the scene is obviously the pizza and beer
Smoothie.
and teeth smoothie.
Mm.
So it was hilarious, and it was a tough scene for me. How did it get you? Were you just like, "Oh, that's funny?"
How see, this is where I have a nursing background, right? And I worked
Mhm.
in medical nursing with people with dementia who couldn't eat proper food. Like some people were on purified diets. So seeing meat pulverized is something I've actually seen in real life. Like I've seen
I'm
I know, here we go.
just
I
hearing
have
you
seen
say
plates
meat
of food where
pulverized
there are
really gets
3
me.
lumps of like there's a mashed potato, there's like a lump of meat that's been pulverized, and then a lump of like green peas or something. Like it's so gross. Like you will literally look at this and you'll go, okay, if I get to that stage, can someone please off me because I do not like if that's my diet, I don't want to live anymore. But yes, that is what some people do. So when I kind of got this, I don't know, that kind of came into my head. And obviously, I'm somewhat desensitized. So I was like, teeth, I mean, not nice, but I wasn't like super, like, I don't know, for me, like the ice cream grossed me out more because of like what the ingredients were exactly. Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I
the
mean, saying that is like super gross.
like, the ice cream, maybe it was so over the top that it wasn't real for me, right? Like, it was
Yeah.
just a funny
It would
thing.
take real effort to put that kind of recipe
To
together.
put that kind of recipe together, exactly. But, like, it wouldn't be that hard to blend, some greasy pizza and beer, and, like, that was, like I was like, "Ew, gross, I don't really like that," like, the idea of, like, pulverized pizza was gross, but
Mhm.
then when he added in the teeth and, like, fed it to him, I'm, like, getting
Like,
queasy thinking about it. It was
you couldn't
tough for
crunch
me.
it, like, oh, like it
Ugh.
wouldn't break down.
And it was
Oh, yeah.
so early on, it was, like, the
It
second chapter.
was.
Like, I was
It
not
was kind of
prepared. I was like,
bang.
"Oh, okay, this is happening." Um, so yeah, that was a tough scene for me. A great scene and a worse scene all in
Exactly, but we
one.
knew with Brynne, we knew we were gonna get at least one scene like that. If anything, because it happened so early, I was kind of like, "Well, are we gonna get another one?" I was
Yeah,
like, "Are we
right.
gonna get more here? Because surely she's gonna give us more." But
Yeah, no. What were some of your best and worst scenes?
Uh, well, yeah, there's definitely that one. I think I mean, well, some of the some of the spiciness. So the vibrator on the stage scene. So the gift that
Mhm.
Sloane gives Lachlan when they're obviously finally connecting now. They're finally like admitting their true feelings to each other and they're connecting. And she gives him this gift and she's like, don't open it until I say. And then he opens it and it's this like, remote control and he's like flicking the buttons and all of a sudden she's like, holy shit, stop it. And it's like, like, so
Yeah.
that was pretty fun. That was pretty fun.
I
I
like
thought that
that
was
scene a lot, yeah. Well, and just, like, the tension, because like, you kinda know by that point that she's forgiven him, but she hasn't told him that,
Mhm.
and you know that, like, she's gonna do something, and so then, like and then when it's that and they're, like it's like a way for them to sort of, like, be together, but they're not together, so the tension was really fun. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like that scene
Yeah,
a lot. I
yeah.
thought that was fun.
I liked the muffin scene when they knocked out Lachlan's boss. That was funny. And then I even quite liked, even though it sort of started the romance sort of early before it turned into enemies to lovers, but when they first kind of got together, they just had this like instant kind of spicy kind of scene. And I kind of liked their banter and their back and forth before they realized who each other really were.
Yeah,
I quite enjoyed that scene as well. But
yeah.
yeah, how about you?
So the I like some of the things that were great to me were just some of the silly, funny phrases. So, like,
Yes.
the fact that Lark referred to herself as a multiple deleter just
That was so
cracked me
funny.
up so much, and then, like, that kept coming back throughout the book. The scene where Lachlan is texting Sloane and, like, being like, "What's going on with Lark?" Like, and she's like, "Dude, like, you can't
Go
ask
read
me
a
that."
book.
Yeah, and then Rowan texts him and is like, "Secure your eyeballs. I repeat, secure your eyeballs." That was, like,
Yeah,
a
that
really
was so
funny
good.
scene.
That
Yeah,
was so good.
and then the scene where later Lark hears the audiobook in the car, which was, like, my nightmare while I was listening to this book. She hears the, like, spicy romance book in the car. I thought that was really good, so I loved all those
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah, no, no, that was so funny. I was just remembering also, like, when they have their joke about the back door and, like, Lark's like, "What do you mean? What you of course you can come through my back door," and then he's
Yeah,
just like, "Oh my God."
yeah.
And then she finally comes out and she's like, "Who would have known, Lachlan was an ass man?" So I love that. I also loved all the Keanu Reeves, relevance, like, in this that which I'd predicted that because there'd been that little line about Lark being obsessed with Constantine. I was like, I bet Lachlan is going to be a bit Keanu Reeves-ish, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So I love that they ended up being a massive part of this, that they were like, she had this constant obsession with Constantine and Keanu Reeves, and that was a whole big part of the book. That was super
And he
fun.
watched it like 12 times. I have never watched that movie, so I
No,
think
I
I'm gonna
haven't
have to
either.
watch it.
Or
Yeah.
maybe I have, like, years ago,
Yeah.
but I mean, for anyone that doesn't know though, like, I that's kind of funny because my husband is always people always pull him aside and say that he looks like John Wick
He
because his hair's kind of
he
long
does
and he's
kind
kind
of
of
look like
has
John
a
Wick,
bit of
yeah.
a I wouldn't say he's like that much like Keanu Reeves, but when people are drunk, they're like, "Oh my God, you look like Keanu Reeves." Like, and yeah, so it's like, yeah, I own one of these actually.
Yeah. Um, I don't know that I have any worse scenes other than the pizza moment. I didn't necessarily in terms of just, like, either, like, not worse scenes, but, like, things that I would maybe improve or change in the book. It's interesting, like, this is why I love this section because we sometimes have different opinions. You were like, "Oh, I love their sort of, like, scene in the beginning where they were, like, kissing and had that
Mm,
romance scene before they knew who each other were." I almost wish that that wasn't there
yeah,
because I wanted them to be more like true enemies to lovers, and, like,
yes,
having that kiss scene sort of shows that they have this spark from the beginning. So I kind of was thinking, "Oh, I wish that
yeah.
wasn't there. I wish that they, like,
Had just
before
started out
they
as
had just
enemies.
been like, 'I hate you.'" Yeah, like, recognize each other right away.
Yes.
Um, and then the other thing I will say is I didn't totally understand the villain's, like,
I
motivation.
was about to say the
Yeah,
only bit I didn't enjoy was the villain, like, is it Abe?
Abe, yeah.
He kinda come on, he was all religious-y, and I was just like, "What the hell is going on here?" We were just getting a
Yeah.
lot of his perspective, and while I can appreciate I don't know, sometimes it's good to have a villain where you don't actually know them and know what's going on. Not that that was set up slightly in Butcher and Blackbird, obviously, as well. But it wasn't like bad. It was just less interesting than other parts of the book.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, it's just like you got to those chapters and you're just a bit like, okay, when are we moving on? Like, yep,
yeah,
okay, he doesn't
right.
like them. He's figuring out ways to kill them. Okay, like, but yeah,
And
I
I
didn't need.
I didn't really understand his motivation for, like, going after Lark and Lachlan. It was like,
Oh,
Rowan and Sloane killed his brother, so then he's gonna go after Lark's
I think
family?
it was
Like,
like an eye for an eye. It was like, "You've killed my brother, so I'm gonna kill yours."
that
And
would
then
make
it was
sense
kind
to
of a
me.
Sloane, it was like it was like her sister who was Sloane.
But
I think that
why go
was
after Lark's family? That's the one that, like, that was, like, too many layers removed for me. But
yeah.
look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It was just a catalyst to get us to the spice and funny scenes. So, like,
That's
who
right.
cares?
We
But
don't
yeah,
really pull these things apart too much. We got the pizza, we got the spice, we got the romance, like, we've ticked the major boxes,
yeah,
like,
we've
little
ticked all the
inconsistencies
boxes.
with the story. It's like, "Yeah, it's all good." Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was around they needed a reason for her family to kind of want to kill Lachlan
Yeah,
to have that forced proximity of the marriage. That's obviously where that came from. But
yeah,
yeah, maybe like a little bit more of a being pissed off at Lark would have made more sense, like a real reason that she was a big, like that she'd helped identify Harvey Mead. I mean, I guess maybe Lachlan did because he would like organize. Didn't he help organize that
He
murder?
did. Yeah, he did. He did.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it
But
just
yeah,
but like I didn't like at the end of the day, the villain, like they defeated the villain, they fell in love. That's what matters.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Overall, we're all happy.
Did you listen to the bonus scene?
Oh, yes, I did. Literally this morning, like I was down to the last bit, and then I was like, "Oh, I forgot the bonus scene. I better press play." And then I'm like, "Oh,
Thank goodness your kids are out of the house.
yeah." I literally just dropped them at school, and then I was like, "Whoa, I'm just gonna sit in the car in the garage and hear the rest of this scene before I go inside because no one needs to hear this." Yeah, that went to new places that I
Yeah.
have not seen a book go
I've never seen a
before.
book do that. I'm sure lots of books do. It's just not the books that we read because
No.
we're in the fantasy world, most of the time where those kinds of things don't
Yeah.
really exist.
Yeah, we don't
So,
always see our female characters pull out a dildo and be
yeah,
like,
not
"Gonna
something that
fuck my
happens
husband,"
in a fantasy
literally.
world. Yeah.
So,
Um,
but it was look, it was entertaining and definitely shock value. That might have actually shocked me more than the pizza. I think I probably came out more from that bonus scene
yeah.
going, "What was
What?
that?" Like, I think I just learnt something, like something I hadn't been exposed to before. That's a new level that's a new level to my spice meter. Now we've just got
Yeah.
another level there. Another level we've gone to again. So
Yes. It was definitely like I would give it like all the chili peppers of spice. This
yeah,
book.
yeah. That's the so hot you're dying, but if you're gonna die, it's a good way to
Right.
go
It's a
level. Like that
way to go. Yeah, that is the definition of that
yeah, yeah. But
category.
I do like that, like, she was so pissed off about the divorce papers. Like, she was
Yeah.
so angry at him for bringing them out. She's like, those divorce papers, like, I'm punishing you now because of those divorce papers. And he's just
Yeah.
like, all right, I got to take this.
Get a
Like,
like you get your revenge, girl. They say that she has a little mean streak, so she does.
definitely, definitely. Actually, that's probably another thing to go into, which I found really interesting. Something I really liked about Lark was the whole exploration of her fear of like the dark, confined spaces. And like there was the scene in the elevator where it goes out and she's stuck in the dark, and then she like fully freaks out. She's got this really complex history of trauma that she's been
Yeah.
through. And I did really enjoy that. That added a lot in when we talk about being darker. There was those complexity to these characters that
Yeah.
was really enjoyable in this. I love when they kind of explore phobias and things like that with characters. And I really did enjoy that, and obviously brought those two characters closer together, which was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. And I did feel like it was explored in a really realistic way, like it was very believable. It was very like this is something like obviously not everyone's going to go become a serial killer after it, but there are probably lots of people who maybe have a trauma and like thus react very physically to dark spaces or,
Yeah.
confined spaces or something like that. So I thought that
Mhm.
was done. I really liked it and enjoyed it a lot as well.
Yeah. Same. Awesome.
All right. What was your final book rating?
I think my final book rating for this one is 4 stars. 4 stars. I think I've got to remember that it is not a romantasy book, and it
Yeah.
needs to be measured against other dark rom-coms and that sort of thing. And I think for this genre, I mean, some people might even say for this genre it's 5 stars, but I'm going to go with 4. I think it had a great story, very funny, great complex characters, great romance, took us to new places with that spice. Probably, one or two things that just like if they'd been a little different, might have just brought it for me to that 5-star rating. But it was just a really good, enjoyable read. Love Brynne Weaver, love everything she does. Love the Keanu Reeves aspects. It was great.
Yeah.
You?
Yep, that's mine too. I would say 4 stars. I mean, like, did I love it as much as a 4-star romantasy book? No. But that's just my own personal, I need my dragons and my fairies and my winged men.
Magic systems.
But yeah,
I know.
but for a rom-com, especially, and for a dark rom-com, it was really excellent. Like it's one of the best rom-coms I have read. Like I don't, and
Yeah.
I don't read a lot of rom-coms because I don't usually love them, and I really, really love these. So
Exactly. And for people like us who are not traditionally into this genre to come into this genre and still give it a good rating is normally a pretty good indication that these are books you should definitely go out and read. They're 100% worth it.
yeah.
Now, important question. Do you think it was better than Butcher and Blackbird? What is your comparison to that one? Which one did you like more?
It's really tough because I actually liked the darker, more realistic aspects of Leather and Lark, and I felt like that was probably in some ways made it better for me
Mhm.
than than Butcher and Blackbird. From a plot perspective, I feel like Butcher and Blackbird was a little bit better. Just that gut punch surprise at the end of David, being this like long game serial killer
Yeah.
like that. I just love a really, really great plot twist that I don't see coming.
Yeah.
So it's like it depends on which particular aspect I'm comparing to,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'd probably give it to Butcher and Blackbird just a little bit, but in terms of like the characters and the darkness, it's Leather and Lark. How do you
Yeah.
answer that
Yeah.
question?
I am probably the same. I really loved Butcher and Blackbird. I think I loved the comedy aspect of it. I
Yeah.
loved that we were dealing with these serial killers, but it was so dark and funny, and I just
Yes.
really enjoyed that. And it was something I think there's always something beautiful too about something new, a new genre that you've never experienced before.
Yeah.
There's really no comparable series to it because it's something new, and that's what Butcher and Blackbird did. It gave us something completely brand new, which obviously Leather and Lark is kind of now coming off that into it. I think it's a great second edition. It's really enjoyable, but I know Butcher and Blackbird has a bit of a special place for me, so it's kind of
Yeah.
hard for it to beat that. And
Yeah.
it would have had to have done something really exceptional. In saying that, oh, who would I pick between Lachlan and Rowan? I now understand why she had trouble picking because yeah, I kind of thought I would have said Lachlan, but actually, no, I think I'm going to stick with Rowan. Like, yeah,
Interesting.
I loved that
I
first book. So,
I'm gonna go with Lachlan specifically because of the glasses. Love a man in
got a
glasses.
thing for glasses
I got a thing for
and
glasses.
tats.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what? Seriously, I've never had a thing for tats, right? Never been. But now with all the books that we read, I see guys with tats now, and I'm like, ooh, tattoos.
yeah.
Like,
That's true.
I'm like, what
Lachlan
is
has the
wrong with
tattoos
you?
too. The glasses and the tattoos. I'm giving it to Lachlan.
Ah,
That's good. You can have Rowan. I can have Lachlan.
that's right. Everyone's happy. We are happy. But yeah, I do
Yeah.
like a bit of comedy in my life. So I do like someone that can have a bit of a laugh, which I think
Yes.
Rowan would definitely give me. So,
Yeah. Rowan is definitely
yay.
more funny. All right.
Mhm.
It has been a while since we've played a game on this show. And
Yay.
so there are enough characters between all these books that we're going to play a Romantasy Readers classic. We're going to play Screw Mary Kill. And
Yes.
we have some interesting characters in here. We have no idea what the pairings will be. We could get really boring pairings where it's really easy, or we could get some crazy pairings where it's very hard to decide. So,
Love it.
I have my trusty, the Taylor Swift cup, the Eras
Beautiful.
Tour cup. That is our Screw Mary Kill cup. And here we go. Time for Screw Mary
Okay.
Kill. So,
Go
Nicole,
for it.
you're up first. You have Sloane, Lark, and David.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, well, obviously David is getting killed for
Yeah.
sure. That one's easy. It's gonna be Sloane and Lark that is harder.
Yeah.
I hmm. This is tricky. I'm like, do I want someone that's bright and sparky to be married to, or do I want kind of complex? But
Yeah.
oh, I think I'm gonna screw. Oh, but Sloane might kill me. Okay, I'm gonna marry Sloane and screw Lark because I feel like Lark is happy to sleep around and move on, whereas Sloane is gonna pluck my eyeballs if I don't marry her. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna marry Sloane.
At first I was like, no, I'm gonna marry Lark because I am the grump, and so I need someone in my life who's the sunshine. But I think you make a very compelling point that Lark absolutely can just like sleep around and move on. I'm not sure that Sloane can. So I will marry
I don't think
Sloane
I'm
in here.
surviving that.
and I will screw Lark. And I do think Lark is a good time. Like, I do think Lark would be a really fun one night stand.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
100%.
so screw Lark, marry Sloane, kill David. Okay.
Yep, yep.
All right.
In
Here's my
agreement.
pairing. We'll see what happens. Let me get one more. I feel like based on what we've already drawn, these are going to get really interesting. All right. I have Rowan.
Woohoo.
I have Thorsten Harris, who is the cannibal from Butcher and Blackbird. And Fionn. Oh, okay. Actually,
Oh,
so obviously I'm gonna kill Thorsten Harris, the
yeah,
cannibal.
obviously. Mhm.
I'm not about to be made into Niçoise salad. Um, ooh, Fionn or Rowan. I just don't know as much about Fionn. So, and it seems like based on like the epilogue and some of the things that like maybe he's not emotionally available.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna screw Fionn and I'm gonna marry Rowan because Rowan is a catch. That's
Who
for sure.
well, obviously, there's going to be no surprises. So I wholeheartedly agree with that because, as I just outlined, Rowan is basically my favorite. So there's no way I'm not marrying Rowan. He would definitely be my number one favorite.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to kill the cannibal, and yeah, Fionn would be a fun little one night stand. So I would
I think
definitely be
so.
on board with that as well. Yep, so that one was
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
easy, not too hard.
Okay, here's your next one. You have Connor, sort of like the friend of Lachlan.
Yep.
You have Harvey Mead, the Texas Chainsaw guy. I don't think he
Hot.
actually had
Wow.
chainsaws, but I just think of him as Texas Chainsaw guy. And Rose, the circus performer. Characters we
Ah.
don't know a lot about.
Well, obviously. Okay, the kill is easy.
Yeah,
Obviously that Harvey Mead Texas Chainsaw
yeah,
Massacre guy, obviously. Uh well, I mean, I'd probably marry Connor and screw Rose
yeah.
because that would that would make sense to me.
I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get two villains in a pairing. Like I was
Yeah, I
hoping that we
know.
would get like,
We've kind of plucked badly today. Like
yeah,
we
and it's
haven't
just
we've got like three villains in a row, and you're like, you
yeah,
have to
that's
pick
what
between
happens when you
Harvey
go
Mead and the
random.
cannibal.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do it randomly. Okay, so the last three for me that I have are Abe Mead,
Mm-hmm.
the villain from this book, Ethel, who seems like a great time, by the way, and Lachlan. Ooh, this is tough. So obviously I'm gonna kill Abe Mead. He is not my type. What do I wanna do about Aunt Ethel? I love one of my favorite scenes is at the very end when she is like about like getting killed and she's like, I have regrets. And then her regrets are like the best things ever. She's like, I really regret not taking that guy home with me because I found out that he did this thing that that I never got. And she's like, I really regret not stealing the muffin recipe. So
Mm-hmm.
she seems like a really fun time. I think I'm gonna marry Lachlan because he does seem like extremely loyal and like extremely like once you're his wife, you're
Oh
his
yeah.
wife
Oh
with a
yeah.
growl. You're his wife
Yes.
with a growl.
Wife
And
with a
then
growl. That voice is enough.
I'm gonna screw Ethel as like a young woman, not an old woman. Because that feels weird. The Ethel who like wishes she had taken that boy home with her from the party. That's the Ethel that I'm gonna screw.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. I was here and I'm like, can I like justify a way to like say that I'm gonna screw Abe? Like could I like kind of find some kinky? I'm just like, no, it's just too awful. I'm
no.
like, no, he's 100% dying. There's no way I can twist this into like trying to pick a villain. Just
No,
no way.
no.
Um,
If there was a villain, like, if I was gonna have, like, a perfect matchup, like, if there was a villain that I would be like, "Okay, I already have to kill someone else, and I have to screw one of these villains," I would probably screw David because even though he's, like, super creepy, I feel like he would be kinda kinky, in, like, a good way. So,
he can really role play. He
he
literally
could
lived
really
in a,
yeah, he
in
could
a
really role
home
play.
for like 6 months in character. Like, so that is like commitment. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Um, I'm going to flick Ethel and Lachlan simply because I'm going to screw Lachlan, but maintain a relationship, right? and then I'm gonna marry Ethel
for the money.
the money. She's gonna die, and then I'm gonna take that money, and then I'm gonna marry Lachlan and live happily ever after in my mansion because I can in this theoretical world. So that's what I'm gonna pick. Oh no, we've dropped out. Ah, hold on, guys. We're waiting for Ellie to come back, or maybe I've died. I'm not sure, but we're waiting on a connection right now. All right, I'm gonna try and mix it up because I want to do something different. I think
Okay.
I'm going to screw Lachlan, but maintain a relationship and marry Ethel just so I can get her money when
Her
she
money, the
dies,
money.
and
Yeah,
then
the money.
I can marry Lachlan and live happily ever after in a mansion, with all my money, living happily ever after.
You
Because
okay, you and Lachlan are gonna stay friends, and then it's gonna be a friends to lovers romance
yep,
after Ethel
exactly.
dies, and you get your money, and then you and Lachlan get to just, like, retire and spend all your time in Indonesia together.
Exactly. I'm gonna like try and maintain that relationship. I'm just gonna be like, look, emotionally, I'm not ready right now, but I really want to stay friends with you. Like, but I've got to explore myself a little bit, and then I'm gonna marry Ethel, and then we're gonna get married later, and it's all gonna be fine.
Perfect.
And yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
That's great. I think that's great. And, Ethel will be a good time for those
She'll be
few
great time.
months that you're married.
Gonna have a great time. Gonna
Yeah.
love every minute of it.
All right. I think that is everything that we have for you today on Leather and Lark. Thank you for listening. As always, please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content and so that you can help other listeners like you find our podcast. You can always follow us on our Instagrams, Alley Cats and Books and Book Loveaholic, as well as Romantasy Readers Podcast on the Instagram. We're both super active there. Reach out to us in DMs. Tell us which book you want us to cover next. We're always looking for recommendations. And yeah, thanks for listening. Have a great
Thanks
rest
for
of your day,
listening.
guys.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
guys. Bye.